Hey, everybody. Really sorry about last week if you tuned in. We had some technical issues when OpenAI released a whole lot of new stuff that I'm going to show you today. So we had to rebook to today. But I'm really glad you joined us. Today, we're going to be talking about generative AI again. And this time, somewhat around the framework of hobbies. And like I promised you, if you've been on earlier sessions, today is really going to be about showing you what's really advanced out there in the world. Even if you don't have your hands on it, I think you're going to be impressed by some of the things you see. And I also think that stuff will be coming to you pretty soon. So let's go ahead and get started here. So this presentation is part of a series. This is the last one that I'm doing here. I've put the dates up. These are all out on the AMC website. So you can always go back and review. I've also created a study guide that you all can use today to review this course, some of the concepts that we've talked about. It's really hard to talk about generative AI in just one meeting. So for what it's worth, if the topics are interesting to you or some of the demonstrations in those sessions are interesting to you, please go back and revisit them. It really is designed for everybody. We're just here to orient folks to AI and the type of technology that's coming, as well as just build things like fluency in applying these tools in your everyday life. So, and I'm going to move kind of fast today because we got a lot of demonstrations that hopefully will be fun. So like I said, many of the things that I'm going to show you today are not directly available yet. Now, Perplexity, that tool that I always talk about, can still tell you about them and how to think about ways to prepare to use them. And today I'm also going to be using things that I've only had a couple of days of experience using. So we'll see how all the demonstrations go. It's a lot of fun stuff, but it's so much to cover. And I'm also going to be using my voice as much as possible, just with this little keystroke device I have, because I really think that over time, a lot of the interaction that you have with computers, whether or not it's your phone or a laptop or a desktop, will be voice based. And I'll explain a little bit more about why that might be happening in the future. But our goals today, I just want to show you cool stuff that's coming to you and provoke thought about the implications of them, because those are pretty dramatic. So we always reference Perplexity here as the tool. This is something that is available to you all in Russia. It is a very strong tool that's actually built on the same technologies that I'm going to show you today. So for what it's worth, we'll go out and check out Perplexity over the course of this meeting for some of the things that I'll speak to. But please, please, please just go ahead and start using Perplexity. It's a safe tool. I understand the company and the founders very well as the functionality of it. And it really is about the most advanced thing that you all have available to you, and it's totally free. So we'll talk about Perplexity. This will always be that mainline tool that I'd really like you all to go chase and try out. So let's talk a little bit about AI and hobbies. I was thinking about it. You all have kind of become my hobby over the last 2 or 3 months. Just for background, I'm a consultant. I work with customers on their strategy, on productivity and things like that. But way back when, I was a 19th century English literature major. I'm very interested in foreign affairs and things like that, but I never had the opportunity to really dig in and start to produce content that might be interesting to other audiences like this. So this series really has become a hobby for me, and just learning about you all. It's certainly allowed me to hopefully come up with examples that you all find more appealing or more applicable within your world. But it's also given me a really good chance to revisit Russian history and just some of the neat things that have happened in terms of the artists and the types of work that have been demonstrated, as well as just geographies like Karelia. So it's really been an interesting hobby for me over the last couple of months to learn more about you all. And as we go through things today, think about how this particular hobbies that you might have, might be further built upon just by using some of the technologies that will be coming to you soon. And in particular, this was the best. So I don't know if folks are familiar with this painting. This is New Moscow by Yuri Pimenov, and almost 100 years old now. I had never seen this painting before enough to stop and really think about it. And so, just back to AI and hobbies, stuff like this, and we'll use this picture a little bit more today, has just been a wonderful way to revisit things in Russian culture that even I didn't know about or I might have forgotten about. But I really do love this painting a lot. There's just a lot of energy coming through, and you'll see how we'll use this later on today when we start to work with different modes or modalities of Chat GPT. So, the first thing we need to do is talk a little bit about terminology for things to come. Again, the stuff that I'll show you today is only a couple of days old in terms of accessibility to folks that have access to this technology. But I really do want to ground this in just some of those terms, because overall, what I really want you all to do to come away from these sessions is with a good sense of AI literacy. So let's talk a little bit about some terms. Okay, so the first is a foundation model. Foundation models are kind of what you hear about on the news. You hear about this AI stuff that's coming. It generally is about these foundational models that are supposed to be pretty good at most anything. They're trained on pretty much the entirety of human history, most of what's out on the web. And because of that, they're really able to perform a wide variety of tasks. Now, the world's leading one is the one that you all use when you use Perplexity. It's called GPT-4. And it's from a company called OpenAI. The CEO is a guy named Sam Altman. If you have not heard about Sam Altman, my guess is you probably will over the next couple of years. He's going to be pretty influential in terms of determining what the AI landscape looks like, and really collectively how our interactions with these AI tools are going to be like. So currently, ChatGPT-4 is the most advanced model in the world. Your direct access to this is restricted. But when you use Perplexity, it's actually interacting with GPT-4 to generate responses for you. So you can always just log on to Perplexity, and you really do have access to this advanced tool. It's pretty wonderful. It's gotten much smarter than it was previously. It now remembers about 400 pages of context. So as you're having a conversation with it, you can talk basically the length of a novel, and GPT-4 will remember that stuff. And it's also what we call multimodal, meaning that it can interact with you in different ways that I'll show you in just a second. And it also has what we call an agent capability. So foundational models, those are big things like GPT-4. You might have heard of Claude or Llama or other things like that. GPT-4 is still recognized as the strongest one out there. And it's the one that just last week, when our presentation blew up, released a lot of new features that have come across. So let's talk a little bit about what multimodality means, okay? And all that is the ability for an artificial intelligence tool to interpret a lot of different ways that you try to talk to it. It can certainly deal with things you type. It can certainly deal with things you say. But multimodality also means that these tools start to see things. And this is a lot to take in. So all we're going to do is start working through some examples of how advanced this technology is. And I thought we'd start off. This is a picture of part of my basement and some of the tools in there. And just to give you a taste of what's going on, we're going to copy this picture and we're going to take this right into ChatGPT. And here you go. And this is the thing that you always hear about in terms of on news. When they talk about ChatGPT, this is what they're talking about. And I'm going to paste that picture of those tools in there. And I'm going to ask it, describe the items that are in this photo. We'll see what kind of lag it's got today. Already off to a bad start, I can tell. There's a lot of different people using this system, and unfortunately, that means that we're getting slightly slower responses, but we're going to stick with this today until we can't. Yeah, this is what was happening last week too. Let's see. Here we go. Okay, so I've just put up a picture of a lot of different tools. There's probably a couple of hundred in there. But you can see that ChatGPT is able to go in and look at those images and also relate what is in there. So it's going to list off the hammer, the scissors, the electric drill. We're going to let it keep on talking for a while so you can just see how well it sees objects. So it's got screwdrivers, red handle screwdrivers, storage bins, photographs, black bag for a tool bag, and it's almost done here. But what you can do now that you've attached vision to it is that you can also start to use these tools to reason. And let me give you an example of that. So what tools would I need to change the battery in my car? So it's going to talk about the wrenches that I need. Let's see if it keeps it keyed into the picture. Identified the socket set. That's good. Let's see if it gets screwdrivers now. Pliers. Yeah, I got pliers. But what these things can literally do is walk you through, based on the kind of image that you have, here's things you can do with it. And this also works by even taking a picture of what's in your refrigerator. You could literally take a picture, you could upload it to GPT, and it would tell you the kind of recipes and things that you would make. So again, this is taking a particular text to image type of relationship or modality and trying to get the tool to get on the same page with you in terms of what you're looking at, which can be really useful if you're repairing things, trying to make things, just trying to get a sense of what's going on. So that is the tool thing, but we're going to show a lot more of those. Let's see. So let me show you a couple of different ways that you can interact with ChatGPT. And the first I've shown you, let's see, Tessa, can you confirm that you can see my screen? Because I can see it on my side. Let me reshare real quick, folks. Sorry. Let's see. Hang on one second, folks. I apologize. Tessa, I'm seeing it's sharing, so I'm not sure. Hey, Tessa, can you confirm that you can see there? Okay. We should see it now, right? Okay. I'm going to keep on going. Just please let me know. All right. So let's walk through a couple of different examples. And the first was voice to voice. And I've shown you guys this phone app before. All right, Tess. I've shown you guys this phone app before, but let's go ahead and show that just one more time. So this is an app that I have for ChatGPT 4, and all I'm going to do is just initiate a voice conversation with it. If it does it, here we go. Hi, I'm live streaming to a Russian audience right now. Can you please greet them in Russian and just say a little bit about yourself, but not too much?
Привет всем зрителям.
We'll see if she says more.
Меня зовут ChatGPT. Я являюсь развитым искусственным интеллектом, созданным компанией OpenAI. Я здесь, чтобы помочь вам с вопросами, предоставить информацию и поддерживать интересный разговор. Рад помочь.
So that is voice to voice, and it's really good at that. You can turn that thing on, you can keep it on your desk and just start talking to it. It will talk to you about anything in the world that you want to. Now, another thing that's pretty cool is voice to text. And let me show you an example of this. Right now, in this meeting, I am recording it using an app called Otter AI. And you can see that it is capturing all the words that I'm saying. One of the neat things you can do here is actually interact with this thing at Otter. What has Woody said so far? And it's actually got ChatGPT 4 in there. And if you're ever late to a meeting, or if you want to send something on your send this bot on your behalf, It will record everything that's going on, and you can even interrogate what's happening within the meeting itself. It's pretty cool. Let's see, I'll leave that one. And now I want to show you guys text to voice. Now, there's a very easy way that you can clone your voice for AI, and I'll build to this in terms of some of the things that I want to show you in a little later. But for right now, let me show you 11 labs. And I won't go too far into this, but basically I uploaded a 1 minute video, 1 minute audio file of myself talking, and it's cloned my voice. So let me make sure that I am sharing audio here. So Tessa, I just stopped sharing again because I want to make sure I've got system audio on. And I'm going to wait for just a second for this to populate. Yeah, I feel like there's just some lag in the system today, Tessa, but we'll keep on trying. There we go. Okay, so 11labs.io. This is a place where you can go and clone your voice. And once you've done that, you can make it say all kinds of things. So for example, I put in some French words here. So let's hear how I sound when I'm speaking in French.
Bien sûr, voici quelques mots en français. Bonjour, hello, merci, thank you, s'il vous plaît, please, and au revoir, goodbye. C'est toujours un plaisir de pratiquer une autre langue.
So, pretty cool stuff. Doesn't sound exactly like me, but hopefully, oh, can hear it. Yes, thank you, Tessa. Oh, that's good. So little victories. But in the future, it's going to be very easy for you to do things like voice cloning for the purposes of stuff like narrating audio, giving presentations like this in just a much more structured way. Obviously, there's a lot of pranks and a lot of scams that will happen as a result of this. But when we talk about multimodal, text to voice is a really important element of that and a really big building block towards things like building better fluency applications and so forth. Now, another thing it does pretty well, we'll go on to the next mode, is ingest files and also relate them. So let me show you what that looks like. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go back into GPT and I'm going to upload this entire presentation, which is not actually, I think I will upload, I'll just upload some company material around a tear sheet because this is a little bit smaller. But I'm just going to give this whole file to GPT and watch what happens. Explore the contents of this and relate to me what is in it. And I'm going to hit enter. And let's see if it's working. Come on, GPT, you can do it. With this functionality that's been released, there's a lot of different people in the world trying to use this thing right now. And Monday mornings, US time, is not the best time to do it. But you can see that GPT has identified that I've uploaded a file and then it's starting to read those contents. It's identified the title and we'll go on from there. Wait for that thing to close. And you'll start to see that it has cracked open that presentation and it's going to give me an outline of, and in this case, it's how I talk to customers about AI strategy and how we sell that stuff forward. But it's going to give a pretty good rendition of the contents itself. It'll critique presentations. It'll build presentations for you, either using VBA or just on its own native capabilities. But again, really powerful tool for just ingesting information and relating it back. Let me show you some other stuff too. We're going to go back to this wonderful painting by Pimenoff here. We're going to have it look at it real quick. As soon as this thing gets done talking. We're going to go ahead and box that out. We'll see if this works. But I'm going to upload this painting and I'm going to ask it to do something very specific with this Pimenoff painting of New Moscow. Hey, I'd like you to look at this painting, But instead of describing what's in it, I'd like you to describe the style used to compose it. My hope is to use this to try to rebuild another picture in the same sort of methods that the artist used here in terms of their brushstrokes, the colors they used, the composition. Basically, I just want to make sure that if I upload an image or give you an object, that you can kind of recreate an oil painting in these terms. So to that end, give me some style guidelines that this artist used. So let's see how fast it's working here. A little bit of lag today. And the reason why I'm talking like this is that I want to demonstrate that GPT is really good at just listening to your voice. And in a lot of cases, that's a better way to talk to these tools than just typing. It really benefits from the context that I gave it about, not just describing the painting, but what I was going to use it for. So you can see that right now it is splitting out how Pimenov style was applied here, impressionistic style, visible brush strokes, and that kind of thing. So, and now it's creating some guidelines for me to use, and you'll see where I'll go with that in just a moment. And it is usually faster than this. I always try to do live demonstrations because I want people to see it build. It's not as effective if I just show you outputs and things like that. I really want you guys to get a sense of just how easy it is to use these systems, assuming that they work fast. So it's really going today, though. It's going to give me the breakdown here. But in just a second, we're going to let it finish, and we're going to ask it to apply that style to make a picture that we just create ourselves. And we'll see how well it does with it. Oh, my goodness. Come on. And I don't want to interrupt it, because if I interrupt it, I might screw it up. Here we go. Okay. Using that style guideline, create a picture of a ballerina dancing on a stage. So let's see how good it does at taking an idea and applying that particular style that Pimenov used to recreate something. Okay, that time it snagged in. That's good. We'll just watch that circle fill up and we'll get an output here. 11:24. Almost done. There's a certain expectation that you got to have. Just cross your fingers. And the circle's closing. Almost. Let's see if it stalls. Just going to be really disappointed if it's this slow all day. Here we go. Let's see what we get. Oh, not bad. Look at that. How wonderful is that? Let's compare. Is that not crazy? I mean, it's just lovely. I was going to take a picture of this Black Russian Terrier and have it recreate the image too. I won't, just because of time. I'm a big dog fan, so I really love Black Russian Terriers. But just look what we were able to do. We were able to give it a painting, and it was able to recreate something that looks a little bit like that painting. It's enough that, yeah, you could say that this is an impressionist piece of work that adapts a lot of the colors and styles that Pimenov did. I think that's pretty fascinating. And what we can do there, again, is we can apply that to a multitude of objects. I'm really wanting to try the Black Russian Terrier thing, but I won't because of time. But let me just show you one last thing that it's able to do, really, that's really cool. I'm just going to show you how this showed up on a previous thread of mine, just because I don't want to kick this off. But I do want to show you one thing I did was that I just gave it a screenshot of Google. Okay, so if you go to the Google website, this is the splash page you see. Mine's in black because I turn on dark for my system preferences. but this is just a simple Google website. And I uploaded that to GPT-4 and I asked it to build a Russian joke generator that looks like this website. And this is pretty cool. It went through and it started decomposing all the code that it saw, the HTML and CSS language. And literally, I was able to save that as just an HTML file here in my notepad. And I can't remember if I open this up, what it'll look like. But let's take a look. Here's our file. And you can see that it literally has built all the HTML and CSS coding that I would need to build a Russian joke generator. Now, and it's actually giving these things action buttons. I just didn't give it jokes to tell. So if I put generate joke here, clicked on that, it actually is going to come back with a response. Now, obviously, this is very primitive, but hopefully the notion of just taking a screenshot of a website and being able to peel out the language on how that's been built and build it into something that you own, or in something that you want to talk to the world about, it's pretty impressive to me. So let's see where we're at here. And Tessa, I've not got any warnings from you yet, so I'm going to assume everything is still flowing great. I'm still just so excited about that picture. That is so beautiful. Awesome. Okay. Sorry, I get excited about these things as we go through it. So that's really multimodality, the ability to talk to these things, to give them pictures, for it to give you pictures back or talk to you back in different languages. That makes these tools so much easier to interact with and so much more powerful. There's a lot of stranded brain power from these foundational models. They simply don't have context for a lot of the things that that we're trying to ask about. But when you do things like provide them a picture of your pegboard with all your tools on it, or you provide them a picture of Yuri Pimenov and ask them to decompose the style from it, it can interpret those things and help you build actionable outputs that you'd like. So let's keep on going here on our terminology journey. Again, we've talked about foundation models. We've talked about multimodal. And now let's talk a little bit about AI agents, which is another big thing that GPT released last week. So let me walk you through this. So we have GPT-4. Now, what they enabled last week are called AI agents, which basically help these tools interact with the larger environment, whether it's the web or the world or whatever else. Basically, they narrow the focus of something. So we could come up with something like a Russian fluency tool that was built around concepts that we've talked about in this course. And basically, we can attach that to GPT-4 so a user can interact with it and still enjoy all the benefits of GPT-4, but in a more narrow environment. So let's talk a little bit about what that looks like. So these are a form of what we call tuning for these LLM models. It's basically them to behave in a certain way. GPT-4 can behave all kinds of different ways. And in this particular use case, we want to ask it to behave specifically. For instance, this is just my new GPT store there called Polyglot Guides. Now, GPT-4 might be able to do all those things on its own, but by putting agent in front of it, you're able to make sure that it does those kinds of things every time. And I really think that in the future, I'm going to get back to, I just want to make sure that I'm still sharing. Okay, good. That in the future, a lot of things like applications are going to go away and AI agents will replace them. And let me talk a little bit about what that means. If I can just get my mouse back here. Hello, mouse. I have the most interesting things happen to me when I present to this audience. Let's try it again. Just amazing. A lot of it is just fascination about how I can recreate it. Okay, so we've got AI agents. And like I said, these agents are basically going to replace a lot of traditional apps over time. So traditional computers on all these applications. This is just a screenshot from one of the screens on my phone. My guess is all of you have screens that look like this. A whole lot of applications. You got to go in and figure out the right application to use for this. But soon, I think, in the next couple of years, you're going to be able to say things like, I want to go camping in Korea. And GPT-4 is going to start talking to these agents, whether it's a nutrition guide or Amazon to things, or just a global concierge to make travel arrangements, and basically process all that stuff on the side and relate back to you. So right now we use applications. I really think what we're going to use in the future is just an AI tool that interacts with various agents to help you accomplish particular tasks or goals that you have. Now, let me make sure I'm still sharing here. All right, still looks like I'm up. So let's talk a little bit about these GPT bots or agents, okay? I'm going to show you one that I built real quick. And this is we're just going to call this a basic data cruncher. I'm really into statistics. I work with a lot of customers on things like statistical analysis as well as visualization. And I've started this, I haven't finished it up yet, is just a bot that I've built with GPT to just basically process statistics the way I like to see it. So let's see how it does on that. Downloads, let me go for, where's that Google thing? I'm going to give it some Google data here if I can find it. Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Where'd you go? Well, we'll just try this one. Turkey, hang on. We're going to grab one more thing. Just amazing how the stuff disappears. Google. And let me check one more place because this is worth it if I can show it to you. Turkey. Okay, there we go. Google Analytics, Google Analytics, Google Analytics. Okay, so I just downloaded some sample Google Analytics. I'll show you what those are real quick. It's just basic website hit stuff. And I'm going to put this into my generator. Downloads, Google. But I'm not going to tell it anything. I'm going to ask it. Tell me about the contents of this file. Just list the first couple of rows of data so I can see it. So I can see it. And it's going to crack open that file that I built, this agent that I built, and start to do some analysis on it. While it's doing that, we'll see how fast it goes. 11:34, huh? Let's at least see it list out something. So what it's going to do in this basic data cruncher bot that I built is it's going to go in, and it was very easy to do this. I just said, hey, build me a statistics bot that does the following stuff. It's going to go through and start reading that data, assigning meaning to it, and I'm going to be able to provide or do a variety of statistical analysis and visualizations on it, build about any graph that we want to, and really do about any statistical test that we want to. And these tools are extremely good at walking you through stuff like that. I can already tell because of time, we're going to have to speed things along a little bit. I was going to build a bot with you guys today, but ultimately just remember this whole notion of agents and their connection to these LLMs and how they can help you do a variety of different tasks. If we were to go into the GPT store as it stands right now, it's only a couple of days old, but you can see that there are already hundreds of applications that people are building for these. And you can build these all with your voice, whether it's fluency tools or shopping tools or business or productivity tools. There is going to be a massive amount of development around these concepts over the next couple of weeks and years, and certainly inform how you all approach your own AI journey. And again, all these things are are just focused tools that sit on top of a very smart language model to help you process specific things. So let's go back to our presentation here and talk a little bit about this one. This is the one I wanted to show you guys, but I'm going to show it directly from the website based on some of the audio difficulties we had earlier today. So I'm going to look goofy, but I really want you guys to see this and listen to what I say and watch my lips. And Tessa, please let me know if the audio does not come across on this.
Good day, everyone. The realm of artificial intelligence stands at the brink of catalyzing monumental changes, not only in our technological landscape, but also in the very manner in which we as a society interact and connect with one another. These changes will mark a departure from our traditional ways. Теперь, переходя на русский язык, моя цель двояка. Привлечь ваше внимание и изложить мое сообщение ясно и просто. Важно понимать, что наш мир находится на грани значительных изменений. В ближайшие годы станет труднее отличать реальность от творений искусственного интеллекта. Я призываю вас внимательно отнестись к предстоящим слайдам и серьезно задуматься о том, как вы хотите участвовать в приближающемся будущем. Это будущее требует нашего вдумчивого участия и активной позиции. To clarify, I do not speak Russian. But with artificial intelligence, I can. If I wanted to do so, I could alter my face to appear different, and I did all of this using free tools. I'm not a formal technologist, just a citizen of this world. It's important to consider the implications of all citizens having access to technology like this. As with most things, каждая медаль имеет две стороны. There will be good effects and some bad effects. An informed citizenry matters more than ever. I want you to use these tools to do good in this world. Good for yourself, good for your loved ones, and good for humanity.
So that's the kind of cool stuff you can do with these tools. You can take your voice, you can put your voice into different languages, and what you just saw there was not me speaking at all. It literally is just AI creating anything that I would have written for myself to say. In recent advances, if you watched when I was speaking Russian, I don't speak Russian, it's pretty good at matching how it pronounces things and says things up to the shape and movement of your lips. So again, all this technology is coming our way, and it's going to be pretty massive. 11:39. Shoot. So let me think about this. I got halfway through these things. Here's what I really want to leave you all with today. And this is really just to recap some of the stuff we've talked about around safety. There's 4 things that I'd like you all to focus on as AI comes at you, whether you're using it for hobbies, whether you're using it to plan your vacations, whether you're using it to hopefully optimize your educational paths. It's these 4 points. The first is that I'd like you to develop AI literacy. If we dig into this, I'll leave this QR code up for just a minute so you can hit it. You should be able to come back and hit this with your phone. This will take you directly into Perplexity, and I've built just a learning guide for you that builds on the concepts of this course. And it's pretty straightforward. Let's bring it up right here. If you hit that link, it's going to take you into, if you hit that link, it's going to take you into an entire course that covers all of the stuff that we talked about, ethical considerations, application and limitations. And really, I'd invite you all just to hit that link that I put up there in chat and start interacting with these tools. That really is the most important thing that I want from you all, is not to be scared about these tools and to understand them. Because if you've seen today, all the different stuff that I showed you, this is really going to have a dramatic impact on our lives. I won't go too far into social media. I'll leave this screen up and then I'll click to the next one so you can see some of the stuff that I say. But relative to social media, I would really encourage everyone to stop getting news from social media. And there's a reason why. because it's so easy to manufacture these kind of information like I was doing today, disinformation and misinformation is going to be extraordinarily prevalent on social media. And news is going to stop being a great place to, or social media is going to be stop being a great place to go for news. Not that I'm sure that it ever was. But you all can use tools like Perplexity to curate websites that you want to go to. You can certainly cut and paste in articles that you've read and just ask Perplexity what is being said here, how it might affect you. You can use AI basically to fight things like misinformation and disinformation. I'll leave a slide here for a second. I won't speak to it. And I'd also encourage you guys to build and maintain your human connections. So many of these tools are going to be extremely appealing, not just for young people, but for lots of different adults too. Again, if you stop and think about it, you've got a chat bot that might be of your favorite celebrity. Well, it might be your favorite celebrity, but it's also hooked up to a master psychologist when it talks to GPT-4. And I really think over time, people's will have some emotional distress relative to their connections with the environment. For right now, what I really propose to everybody is just strengthen the human connections that you have in your life. There's going to be people that get pulled into this, including lots of children, and we really need to look out for them as adults. And responsible parenting in the future is going to involve protecting them in different ways than before. So yeah, with kids, minimize social media time and supervise AI time for those under 18. And just use tools that you know. Perplexity is a safe tool to use, as is GPT-4 once it becomes available over there. But there's going to be other tools that emerge, not always from good actors. And it's very important, if you look at some of the previous presentations that we've done, to understand who's making this tool and what is this tool exactly doing. But mostly I want you all to seize the opportunity. If the stuff that you saw today in this very choppy demo was appealing to you, it's only going to get better. The technologies that we've talked about, even since I started talking to you all a couple of months ago, have advanced a lot. It really is on an exponential curve. So there really is a good time for you to jump in right now. And I think this is a pretty unique time in human history of just where we're at relative to having such powerful tools at our disposal that really in a lot of ways are more advanced than what governments or technology firms or anybody else uses. It is right there every time you log on to Perplexity. So don't wait to get started. Be informed and be energized. I talked about some heavier things within these tools and how they could be used for bad, but mostly these are tools that are extraordinarily beneficial to each of you as you develop out, whether it's your hobbies or your educational paths or just your personal interests. Using these tools now is going to benefit you later. Everything's about to change, so I really want you all to be change agents. And Tessa, do we have any questions? Or I can show some more demos if folks don't have any. And hopefully I didn't lose Tessa. All right, so that's a good question. Let me go to it. Let me grab it. So the AI with dialogue form is only ChatGPT right now. That is, if I can get my thing to work, the question was whether or not that voice was only available in GPT, and it's actually only available on this phone, or not on this phone, but on phones that are connected to the App Store. For those of you that have been around a couple of sessions, you might remember Hey Pi. I do not know if they have turned this on in Russia yet. The talk function, you certainly have access to Pi, but if you go there in Russia, I'm wondering if you see this little microphone here yet. That will actually turn on Pi. I'm not going to do it because she really shoots off her voice. She gets going for a long time. But this kind of functionality, first off, Pi is available in Russia. It's a great tool to use too. I talk about it in the education series. But once that microphone gets there, then you'll be able to interact directly with Pi, even if you can't interact directly with GPT. You get the next question. Does it depend on platform, Mac, Linux, Windows, what we use, or no? No, not at all. These all go through browsers. I'm not aware of any limitation that's imposed by any personal computing system or OS that's being used. Question 3. Can AI create an avatar robot that would do a voiceover for speech, for text speech presentation? Which AI is best for creating such a robot? Yes, absolutely. Now, I did not check to see if Russia had access to heygen.com. I'm there right now. It's called Heygen, and you can see all the different ways, all the different times I've tried to prepare for the presentation here. But to the person's question, I could select a given avatar here.
Hello, this is
Geez, let's talk. Let me show you differently. You can select a range of avatars. This is actually the CEO, but you can create one from a photo. You can create one from studio ones that they have available on HeyGen. And there probably are a couple of platforms that do this, but ultimately, yes, you can create a given kind of agent to speak to whatever sort of presentation you're doing. And obviously, it's much more measured. The tone is much more consistent. There's a lot of benefit to creating these avatars if you want. Tessa, any other questions? That is a really good thing, a really good question to ask. So this is the thing that I really want you all to think about. Let me put this question up here. In terms of downsides here and why I said some of the things that I did in my presentation, in all honesty, it's going to be even harder to stop it. I would love to come back and talk to you all in the future about how some of our might change over time. But I believe notions of privacy that we felt we had in the public space are largely changing, and not for the better. You know, when I talk about AI in the future, I generally tell people more freedom with less rights. And the fact of the matter is this in the United States, where teenagers at the school are taking pictures of individuals and building really inappropriate content, videos, things like that. I don't know how to prevent those things, okay? And if you go back to, I believe it was when I talked about AI and research, I talked about open source models. Those in particular are concerning to me, not GPT-4, things like Claude or Google or those bots that are coming out, but really just the things that have been put out that in some cases you can run on your desktop that do some of this activity. So I won't lie to anybody about this. One of the reasons why I want you all to start using this technology is because stuff like this is going to be happening. And I'm really concerned. There's already in the United States also phone scams going on where they'll call up elderly people and pretend to be someone in their family that's saying, I need money really fast, or I've hurt myself at the hospital, or do something to engender some sort of response from that elderly person. And you'll see it in this pitch, as dumb as it sounds. If you have elderly folks in your lives, if you have folks that don't necessarily understand technology really well, I would really recommend that everybody establish verbal passwords with your loved one, just words that you know and that they know. So if somebody ever reaches out pretending to be them, you have some sort of way of authenticating that you're talking to the person that you think you are. And it's a really troubling thing to put up there in terms of, I don't know what we do if somebody creates aware right now. And that whole notion of misinformation is a lot more prevalent in the coming years in the US. A particular video of an election you see in the moment. So again, social media is going to be a really bad place to get news going forward. Please go to news sites, whether it's Reuters or AP or whatever you have access to, and just get a good understanding of reading long form to short video. All right. That's another good one. Copy. It's probably a good question to about this. I'm not scared about these changes because I don't think anybody in the future really understands, or really, I don't think anybody really understands what's going to, it's that. It's just that so much of this is unknown. I want to make sure I'm still streaming. Okay. So I guess I'm what you would call I'm a pragmatic realist about these things. I'm not optimistic and I'm not pessimistic. I just think these things are coming. And in many cases, some of the things that I talked about with privacy are already here. There is, if you are being, if you're being filmed by a security camera, AI monitoring these cameras, not just people monitoring them when they see something out of line. And I really think just even if generative AI and GPT had never come along, our notions of privacy have gotten really, really restricted. So I'm not scared about these things. I just can't be. My personal goal is to talk to people, as many people, the vast population of the world had us to the same powerful tools that governments and companies did. I mean, this is really unique. So all I can do is not get too scared by things, just kind of forge ahead and encourage everybody else to at least understand the kind of future that we're coming in on. And Tessa, any other questions? Or I'll try to work in another demo here if somebody wants to ask some. Let me try. We'll try that Black Russian Terrier. I really wanted to get a picture of that guy. He's pretty. All right, let me show this, and we'll go back into GPT-4. I'm going to go back in the thread I was in where I came. Oh, that ballerina, that is just a spectacular picture. It's so much fun to just mess with these tools and just produce this stuff. So I uploaded the picture of that Black Russian Terrier, and the first thing I want to ask, just so I don't get in trouble, is what's on the woman's shirt? So if you look, she's got writing on her shirt. I don't speak German, so I just want to make sure that there's nothing offensive there. Oh, French for long live music. Okay, that's interesting. I read it. All right, now let's try something, and let's see if it can recreate it in Pimenov style here. Apply the style guidelines that we established to recreate this photo. My goal is to capture the woman, the dog, and the brick wall behind her, but I'd like to recreate it as an oil painting in the style guidelines that we discussed. Let's see how well it does a Black Russian Terrier. And we'll come back to this just so we're not all watching this thing spin again. It'll keep on going. So, you know, in general, don't be scared about this stuff. Come to tell us something new. Come to tell us something new soon. It would be fantastic. Oh, is that come again? I'm not sure if that means come again or tell you. The stuff that you're seeing today, this is all brand new. If you noticed, it was a little bit clunky for me to navigate around. It's just we're a couple of days into this. I could come back on any of these topics and talk at length about them, especially around bot creation, which I'd really like you all to understand. But don't be scared about this stuff. Go ahead and jump in and start using these things. And let's see how our picture came out. Oh, it actually did okay. Look at that. Oh, I'm so glad. I could not get it to do this when I was testing it. It didn't get the dog right. That looks more like a Newfoundland or maybe an Ovcharka, some of the Russian Mastiffs, right? Although I guess that's more Tibetan Mastiff. But notice that they captured the woman. She's facing the other way, but it captured her shirt, and GPT thought, well, I should just put Vive la Music on her shirt. So that's pretty cool. I'm kind of excited about that. So again, just the ability to go from, remember this picture we started off with, Pimenov's picture, and how we made that into a ballerina, and finally, how we were able just to take a normal picture that we found of a woman showing a beautiful Black Russian Terrier. God, that's a good looking dog too. And recreating pictures like this. Not exactly, but it's not going to create stuff exactly. Kind of the beauty of these tools is their variability, and this really opens up creativity. So I'm pretty excited about that picture, if nothing else. So as we close out here, you know, I've been able to spend about 6 sessions with you all. I'd encourage you to go back and look at some of those other sessions. We're still talking about different things that I might do in the future, but I really did want to thank the AMC Moscow for just having me here, and just thank all of you all for sticking around. You've been through a lot of technical challenges and a lot of big concepts and things like that, but it all stitches together, and really just develop your AI literacy. A lot of the cool stuff that I showed you today, I promise it's going to come to you in some way, shape, or form soon. And once it does, it can really be transformative in your interests. Let's see, we got one more question here. Let me get off mute here. Could AI be used for creation of a... Yeah. Let's talk about this one. And I'm glad that you guys are talking about this stuff. I know it's kind of not as fun to talk about, but it is real. And it's stuff. And this is something that often gets forgot as we talk about AI. Okay, so generative AI or Chat GPT is a way that our privacy rights could start to erode. It's really important for folks to understand that there are already companies that have gone out across the web and pulled all kinds of images that are out there of you, of people that you know, and that is being used as lookup databases by law enforcement agencies as well as countries, okay? When I talk about pulling back from social media, I'm being... If there's a picture of you out there that you don't want out there, I'd pull it down or figure out a way to pull it down, because you don't need Chat GPT right now. There are websites that I will not show you that I can go to. I can do a reverse search on myself or of anybody else in my life, and it's going to pull against the index of all the pictures that are out there. And yes, there are companies that are very disturbing for me, like Clearview AI, which is based in California, which basically just indexes photos for law enforcement officers to access to figure out whether or not somebody that they saw in some sort of situation is a known figure, okay? And they're not always right. You know, this is probably a different people to the fact that, yes, there are already, that if you have put a picture just by that picture alone, and it involves stitching together that picture, and it's pretty hard to hide from those things. And that's why I just think that going forward, privacy is very different than we previously understood it. And I guess the thing that I would really call out is that it's not just agencies. This is also individuals, okay? You all saw what I was able to build today, where I was able to speak roughly for a little bit, just with a few minutes of time with an AI tool. This is not just something that could purposes by... I'm saying all of this to motivate you to get in and start using these systems, because I promise you, in a lot of ways, that AI stuff that's coming, the best defense for it is simply to know how to use AI and get educated and understand what sort of vulnerabilities that you might have been putting out there. Let's see. I'm going to start winding down here because it's top of the hour. Again, I've had such a good time talking to you guys. I know we chewed up a lot of time with demos today, but please take a look at how I was able to use images, files, text, computer code, and relate that back to things that are important to you in your own life. I promise you the opportunity is coming very soon for you to use these things for your own betterment, and that's all I want. So I'm going to sign off now. Okay, I answered that question. I'm going to sign off now. Tessa and Robert, thanks for having me, and thank you all for joining us.